So tonight's talk is about retreat, and some of you were on retreat, and I might even be asking you about your experience, but I want to talk about just some of my favorite memories and lessons from retreat. So those of you who don't know about it, we went up to Malibu and we practiced all weekend. It was a little bit dicey with the weather leading up to it. We had the only rain that we've had here in what feels like the last 20 years. And we were thinking, is it going to pass? Of course it did. It always is perfect weather on retreat. So it was like 60 degrees and sunny, which is perfect. And then at night it got a little bit cold. But beautiful weekend, overlooking the ocean and the mountains and the valleys, punching and kicking and throws and grappling and tai chi and meditation. Absolutely perfect. The perfect weekend. And to boot, the food is delicious. So those of you who are thinking of coming next year from Michigan, the food should be enough to bring you here. I think, and you guys can not correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this was our best retreat that we've had. It was so great. The right people came, which was everybody, and it was just smooth and wonderful from a logistics standpoint. But the drills that we did some new stuff that we've never done before. One of them was using sticks. Some of you guys have never used sticks before. Some of you have, but it's enough that we do this hike down to the ocean, and you see all these rocks jutting out of the water, and you think, what are we going to do here? Because in Michigan, we go to the beach, and it's nice and sandy, and we do a lot of throws and chin-on and stuff, and you can't do that in Malibu because you will get thrown onto a rock and die. So instead, we just stand on the rocks. It's the opposite. It's like you must stay exactly where you are. And we've done in the past, we've done like flow drill with chin-ah and different things, and this time we did stick. And stick is actually a great thing to do when you can't move your feet, because there is a lot of great blocking and technique to do without having to move. And a lot of people said that was their favorite memory. Some people said, what'd you say was your favorite thing, your favorite drill from retreat?
The multiple attackers when your attackers are zombies.
Yeah, multiple attackers, specifically the part where your attackers were zombies. And I should clarify that your attackers were not actually zombies, but this was to help you guys get better at it. They were coming at you slowly at first, and then they started going fast. But this multiple attacker drill that we did on Sunday was, I think, my favorite drill that we did. And honestly, I came up with it almost on the spot. It takes from different things that we've done and that I've stolen from Sifu Brown, but the way that it kind of came together was like, how are we going to do multiple attackers and do it with people who've never even sparred before? It's very difficult to deal with one person as it is, let alone dealing with two people or more attacking you. So we figured out a way to do it with mitts, and it was miraculously very safe and a great workout. And to watch everybody be able to put together these different ranges of practice and to be truly wonderful partners is something that, honestly, if you walk into most martial arts schools, you don't see it. But especially if you leave the martial arts school and go on a retreat, most people's retreats are, like, I was talking to Sifu Brown about this beforehand. Most people's martial arts retreat is you go and play volleyball and hang out and like watch movies or whatever. It's basically like what happens in a lot of kids' classes in martial arts around the world. But this is like a real martial arts retreat. You're just doing martial arts the whole time, which, if you've never done it before, might sound like insane. You're going to do martial arts for an entire weekend and expect to survive, but the partners and the skill level and the way that it's run is just amazing. So we capped the whole weekend off with probably the most physically intense drill, multiple attackers, after we hiked down and up the mountain and did all of this crazy stuff. And some of you probably didn't sleep very well the night before, but it was brilliant. I loved that drill. I'm biased, but I think it was amazing. What else? Who has a favorite memory or drill from retreat? Yes, ma'am.
I really loved the Tai Chi that we did on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
What was
of all, it's awesome just doing Tai Chi outside. It's a different experience.
Yeah.
But also because I had some issues with my knees, they were bothering me throughout. But because we were going really slow and it was like towards the end of the retreat, I started being super, super mindful and doing how I normally would do is cutting it in half and just like focusing more and just doing it so it doesn't hurt my knee. And by the end of it, I was so much more meditative, and I actually felt like I actually was strengthening the muscles around it.
Absolutely. If just imagine if you had been that mindful from the beginning of retreat, your knees wouldn't have hurt in the first place. But I get it. And like everyone's excited and pumped, and you just like bust down the hill, and you're like, oh, this retreat is a knee buster. The stuff that we do is pretty tough unless you are really mindful. And so the Tai Chi is a wonderful opportunity to really pay attention to moving your body in exactly the way that you want it to. And after everything that you've put your body through on that weekend, to be able to do that and kind of let the pain disappear and be in a calm, meditative state is wonderful. And it does not hurt that you're on a cliff overlooking the Pacific Ocean and just one of the most beautiful possible places to do anything, but definitely Tai Chi and martial arts. What else? Is somebody giving you one there, ma'am? No, you're just fiddling around with the phone and messing with me? You got another one, ma'am?
I also like the flow grappling, trying to flow and then dodging people's feet.
Yeah.
That was
The grappling drill was definitely a little bit more interesting and mindfulness intensive than normal grappling when we have plenty of room, when you're right next to some other group and we're hoping that they're paying attention, but if they're not, you better pay attention, and feet are flying, absolutely. I did really like the grappling flow drill too. The idea was it was supposed to be the same type of feel as the standing flow drill, which is like, come here, Catherine, this is for the people who don't know what we're talking about. It looks something like, she's throwing a punch and I'm moving and striking and she's blocking and turning that into something else, and we're, constantly flowing from one technique into the next. That wasn't a great example, but okay. But to be able to do that on the ground, and that's really what grappling should be able to be. And a lot of people who practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they practice like, my job is to make my partner uncomfortable and to stop them from doing anything. And I'm just going to base out and go, and try to squeeze the life out of them. And it's nice to be able to do that, but you're not going to be able to do that to very many people. So that's why you come to kids class. No, because you got to be able to flow, right? So a great way to practice, especially as a smaller partner, but really on at any size, the higher level is to be able to flow with your partner and use their energy, and that requires a ton of mindfulness by itself, let alone when you're on a very small area of mats and you're squished in like sardines. What else? You have one, Tyler?
Yeah, I love working with some of the people who had so much experience, red belts, and just feeling their elbow or knife hand against my glove, against my focus mitt or my shield, felt so different.
It does, doesn't
and
it?
I learned so much. It wasn't painful. It was just that it was so precise and there was a certain hardness behind it.
A precise hardness rather than a whapping.
It wasn't like, it was a very precise, but it just felt very, very solid. It felt to me, as I explained to one of my classmates, as if they were hitting me gently with a steel bar.
Yeah, this is it. Like, I was holding a shield earlier today for the kids class, at the little kids class. And some of them go up to kick the shield and they just go like this, and their foot's just floppy, and I can feel it. I'm not even looking at it, and I can feel, well, that's not a good front kick. And so then I tell them, no, make sure that you curl the toes up. And the next time they come in, it's just a nice, just a nice easy thump, and you can feel the difference in the technique, even through the shield. You're like the princess and the pea. You're like all the way up on those mattresses, but you can still feel what's going on the other side if you're really aware and relaxed and mindful. And to be able to practice with somebody with a lot of experience is a fundamentally different experience than practicing with somebody who has less. And This is something that a lot of beginners especially, they don't get. They think like, I don't want to practice with a person who's been here that long because they're going to beat me up, they're going to hurt me. No, they are the person who is the least likely to hurt you and the most likely to get you as great as you can be. The way that we practice, you're not going to get hurt anyways, but that person, and you don't even know actually the level of experience that you got to work with. So as I alluded to at the end of the last class, it takes a long time to get to a black sash in this school. And on retreat, there were 2 of us, me and Mr. Allen. And that might make you think like, well, there's only 2 black sashes here. Where are all the senior students? They were there. The red sashes. Chris is our only red sash at this school, and he's been practicing for about 6 years. And he is the least experienced out of the other red sashes that were on retreat visiting from the other schools. Some of them have been practicing for as long as I have. Doug and Steph started like not that long after me. I've been practicing for, coming up on 16, 17 years just with Sifu Brown. And you had several people like that to practice with. To be able to be exposed to that kind of experience, we don't have it on the regular here because we've only been here for 6 years. Now, in most schools, nobody stays for 6 years. They practice for a couple years and they're gone. In some schools, they do, and those they're doing something right if that happens. Sifu Brown's school, he's got a ton of us who've been practicing for more than 20 years and still practice with him. And it's because there is so much to learn, but also because we just know, we've been to lots of other martial arts schools, there's nothing else like that. So people like Doug and Steph, they don't even practice with Sifu Brown regularly. They live in Colorado, and they fly out to practice with us because they appreciate it that much. And they've looked for other schools, and they just haven't seen anything that fits. So that's wonderful. But I will say in general, the best part of retreat that most people say is their favorite is just spending time with people where, you come to class and of course you get to connect to people and you get to talk to them to some degree and most of it is centered around practicing and all of that. But to be able to spend a weekend with people who are quite honestly some of the best people on the planet, it's unparalleled, that kind of experience, because practice does something to you. When you spend this much time in this kind of environment surrounded by other people who are really interested in not only making themselves as great as they can be, but making you as great as you can be, it just does something to you. And that's always my favorite part of retreat in general, is spending time with people, getting to just sit and be with somebody who, when you go through something like a test, I practiced with Mr. Allen, for example, for many years. He's practiced for as long as I have with Sifu Brown. And you go through things together, and it's a bonding experience unlike anything else. When you go through a test, or you go through a really hard class, or you go through 20 years of practice, you have things in common with that person that are not even possible to verbalize or to understand with the logical part of your brain. You just kind of sit with that person and you just look at each other and you're like, that's it. That's the kind of feeling that it is. And you can practice with somebody or watch them practice, and the way that you experience that person is so very different when you spend that kind of time. What else? Don't you have anything, Catherine? They stole all of your good ones? Go ahead. What? The demo. The demo's the best. So the single drill that is not a drill that we do that everybody loves is the demo. And to see people perform at such a high level is insane. The kind of stuff that these people can do. Just raise your hand and give me your favorite thing from the demo. No repeats. You're not going to say anything? It was me doing flying kicks. Go.
I love first doing the egg thing.
Yeah, breaking with the egg in the hand with a punch is, as I know from personal experience, very difficult and very impressive. And for people who didn't get that, it was like, okay, he broke a piece of wood and he had an egg in his hand. So, like, try it. See how that goes for you.
First time.
His first time trying it. Because I refused to let him. I was like, we don't have enough wood. You can't practice it. You got to just get it on your first, and he got it on his second shot. But what else?
I really loved Anne and Aaron's butterfly knife performance. And
Butterfly swords. Butterfly knife is something else. It's a little more gangster.
But it was so triumphant that then when on Sunday I told you that when I was thinking about it, I kind of teared up. because of the story.
Yeah, so this is something that we haven't had in past demos. People took the liberty to kind of give a monologue in front of the rest of the students. And so Anne gave her monologue about how both she and Aaron had just broken up and gotten out of relationships when they started learning this form, and how they kind of, went through that as a bonding experience, but also this form kind of reminds them of how they kind of, got strength from their practice and moved on. And so that was really nice to hear how practice affects people. Oftentimes at the point when we need it the most, at the point where we actually don't feel like coming to the dojo because it's like, I can't deal with anything in life right now. But that's when you get strength from your practice. And I promise you, when you don't feel like coming, if you can just drag yourself to the dojo, we will take care of it. We will take care of the rest. You will not exist as the same person in the same state of consciousness as you did when you walked in. You will be transformed. What else? From demo. Well, you already gave me one. Something else.
The caning thing that you did.
The caning thing. Not the caning. The caning is what they do to you if you do graffiti in foreign countries. The cane, so I did a demonstration with the cane, and it was, like I explained to people before, I've never actually done that before. And when I was doing it, I was thinking, I don't know how this is looking right now, but then Meryl showed me video after, and it looks pretty good. But to be able to, look, it's tough to get up and do something for the first time in front of people, but if you have a certain amount of experience and confidence, it'll work out. But it's really also nice to know that everybody wants you to be great. So when I was up there using the cane to do all of this really fancy stuff to do joint locks and throws and trips and chokes on people in this really free form, if I thought everybody's out there judging me really harshly and wanting me to fail, that probably wouldn't have gone as well. But I know that, you expect me to be awesome, but if I duff something, you're not going to be like, oh, see who messed that up. I'm not coming to class again. Because you got enough great experiences in the bank. Even if I mess something up, you'll come back at least one more time. Yeah. So watching somebody with a lot of experience do a form, like a kata, like what we practice, is an otherworldly experience. And especially when you watch somebody like Steph, who has practiced that form for so many years with such intensity and focus, it's like I said, that doesn't look like the same form that I'm doing, is like what a lot of people were thinking. And most of you have not learned fourth form yet. But it is amazing to see the precision and the fluidity and the power that goes into this. And if you really put in time and effort to something like that, it will look like that eventually, someday. What else? Any other memories from retreat or anything else?
I have to add that I really enjoyed performing partner form.
Yeah, you liked
Julia.
the part where everyone was watching you.
No, I appreciated the candlelight and the fireplace.
Mm-hmm.
And we were actually disoriented when we practiced, but then when we performed, it all
It
went.
worked out.
Yeah.
And it better have. When you're on the spot, you got to do it right. So Leah and Julia did partner form, and I told them 2 hours before, this is what you're doing, good luck. And they nailed it. But it is interesting. It's an interesting experience being up in front of people and having to do something that you've never demonstrated before. So you guys did really well. Let's see how we're doing on time. You got one more, Kai? What?
Well, talking to the fire, it was funny when some people almost fell in the
Yeah, like when Catherine was sparring with Steph and they both ended up almost in the fire.
And a few of us gave crying.
Yeah, there was oh! There was a collective gasp, oh my God, they're gonna die. But that is the way, the way that you felt watching that is the way that everybody who has not seen practice at that level People walk up here, they come over like from the Indian restaurant, and they're like, I wonder what's going on in here. Oh my God, they're trying to kill each other. What the hell's going on? Somebody call the police. And if you've never seen sparring on that level before, and you've never seen that, like it was actually, they were totally safe the entire time. But you weren't quite sure of that unless you've practiced with them and seen it happen. And that's an amazing thing, to be able to practice at that level of intensity, serious focus, still to be able to be safe is something that is not common. The vast majority of people when they spar, and this is one of the reasons why, by the way, we don't spar from the very beginning in practice, because you get hurt. People get hurt. And you have to be able to get on the same page and practice safely in order to get to that level where you can practice that intensely. So that's huge. One of my favorite things came after retreat was over. And this is not going to make me sound very mindful, but I lost my wallet. And my wallet is super tiny because I don't have a lot of money. Martial arts doesn't pay that well. But I have this tiny wallet, and it can disappear on me sometimes unless I really pay attention. Now, I knew it was in my bag because I put it in my bag, but I went to find it. I thought, I better just check and make sure it's in my bag before I drive off. And it wasn't there. And I'm like digging in, where is this thing? And so then I start go looking for it, and I'm like asking people in the staff, did anybody turn in a wallet? Have you seen my wallet? And they're like, no. And they ask somebody else in staff, nope, nobody's got it. I go back to the room I'm staying in, I open the door. I knocked on the door and I open it. There's somebody in there. I say, have you seen my wallet? No, I haven't seen it. I look around. It's not in there. Where is it? I check my bag again. It's not in my bag. I'm like digging around, still looking around, retracing my steps. I go for the third time to look in my bag, and it's like just in the one tiny little nook under a sock that I didn't quite get to. I had to literally pull things, like all the things out of my bag, and I finally found it. And I thought, well, that's hilarious to finally find it for the third time that I check in my bag, and I'm teaching mindfulness and meditation the whole weekend, and that should remind you of my humanity. I am not perfect. I talk a good game, and usually I live a good game, but every once in a while I lose stuff. So I thought, that's an amazing metaphor for our practice on like a spiritual level, isn't it? Because here's this thing that you're looking for. It's not usually your wallet. It's usually like some kind of enlightenment or the next level, some kind of evolution. And you think, I'm going to go on this great epic journey to look for it. I've got to go find, I'm going to go find a teacher who lives in the Himalayas, and they're going to teach me how to find myself, how to find enlightenment. And I didn't find it there. I'm going to go find somebody, this charismatic teacher who's really just going to inspire me to get it. I didn't find it there. And you go off and you search, and you might go into different philosophies and different practices, and you look high and low. And it's like this conversation that I had with Shirley. What was that thing that you said about it's not in going to different places, but it's looking someplace with different eyes? You remember what you said to me? Yeah.
The journey of discovery is not in finding new territory, but in looking at it from a different perspective. Something like that.
Yeah, we'll paraphrase it. The journey. What was it?
The journey of new discoveries. This is paraphrasing.
Yeah, the journey of new discovery.
New territories.
Not in finding new territories,
but in seeing it with new eyes.
Seeing it with new eyes. So, the third time I went back to the bag, I realized this is silly. I was literally carrying it with me in my bag the entire time. And that's what happens when you have some kind of a realization in life, in your spiritual practice, in your martial arts practice, even just with relationships with other people or with yourself, you realize, it was here the whole time. And I mean, physically, it's here. And I also mean, you had that understanding. Oftentimes, it's just seeing something with new eyes, coming at it from a different angle, and recognizing, there's nothing to search for outside of myself. It is always here. It's just being able to set aside the ego and the small self to be able to connect to your true self. And it's hidden. And it's not just hidden behind a sock in a corner of your bag. It's hidden by all of creation and all of life. All of your experiences leading up to this point serve to hide this from us. And when you can, in those moments, see it with new eyes and recognize something deep for the first time, it feels like you're discovering something that was really there, hidden from sight, yet in plain view the entire time. This is the experience of spiritual discovery. And it is oftentimes like a, I feel so stupid for not noticing that in the first place type of feeling that you get. But that is one of the benefits of our practice, is we learn to laugh at ourselves. If you can't learn to laugh at yourself and stop taking yourself so seriously, a lot of life and practice is going to be filled with these moments of like, oh, I feel so stupid, I'm not getting this, or I can't believe it was that easy the whole time, and that leads you to want to quit, that leads you to feel down on yourself in your practice. But if you can get that and just, that was easy, well, I wish I had done that the first time, then you can kind of keep this lighthearted attitude and just keep going along that line. So as we meditate tonight, you might get a moment where you have some kind of grand awakening and some kind of epiphany, and it seems really important, and it's like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing that anybody has ever experienced or realized in their life. Great. The next level to that is just to let that go and just come back to this moment, because really this moment is the most amazing and important and deepest thing that you can ever experience. So that's what we're going to do now. Sit comfortably.